2 Kings chapter 17. This is the chapter where the end of the northern kingdom of Israel comes. A kingdom that never had a king who was loyal to Yahweh first, or tried to be. Jehu, he got rid of some pagan gods, yes, but he never put aside that kind of substitute worship of Yahweh. We should note the editor of Kings does say here that Hoshea, the last king, was not the worst of the northern kings. He wasn't the worst. He wasn't the most rebellious king of Israel. It's just that what the nation had reaped was kind of sown during his reign. He, as a kind of the final king, he tried to rebel against Assyria, and he was crushed. The Assyrian policy for keeping trouble down was to forcibly scatter conquered peoples among their empire, trusting that the different groups kind of there wouldn't get along enough to rebel against Assyria proper. Most of the chapter isn't even about the physical or political consequences, but the spiritual cause of Israel's exile. And that's part of the core point of this book of Kings. Why did Israel and Judah go into exile? It wasn't because they weren't strong, they didn't have a strong army. It wasn't because they were bad diplomats. It's because they stopped following Yahweh. And the terms of covenant were, God said, you can read it, Deuteronomy 28, Leviticus 25, 26, 27. I can't remember the specific chapter now off the top of my head. It's there. And God says, if you follow me, here are the covenant blessings. If you rebel, this is the negative fruit you're going to reap. The ultimate one being exile. Israel had persistently acted against covenant by worshiping other gods, led to all sorts of failure, not just to love God, but injustice towards one another within the nation. And it cost them, ultimately, they failed what their mission was. All the way back to Exodus 19, the people of God are to be a light to the nations, a light to those who don't follow God, of who God is and the life he has made for each person, each community, each family, each nation to become living in unity. In some ways, an aspect is God wants to undo Babel, which was a scattering of the nations and dividing. God's looking to bring together. The people of Israel were spread to the nations. They would later become known as the Samaritans. Samaria was the former capital city. It was kind of the name for the regional area. And included is this interesting account of what happened when other peoples that Assyria brought into the territory of the northern kingdom. Lions were attacking, and it was so unusual and so much that the king of Assyria decreed, hey, go find a priest that we kicked out of that country, send him back to teach the people there the worship rituals of Yahweh. But they're operating with this pagan worship idea. You just got to do the right rituals to appease or satisfy that God. But it was all kind of put into a melting pot, of the people who were brought in from different countries. They'd follow their gods, and they'd follow the God of the people of the land that they were in, and they'd basically do whatever. If things were bad, my God doesn't, my ritual is not seeming to work. Let's try your ritual, maybe your God. They didn't see the gods as they understood them interested in relationship. It was this bartering, negotiating system. And so the worship of other gods continued, with Yahweh just viewed as one God among the others, which was part of the source of the Jew-Samaritan divide in Jesus' day. But here's a thought exercise, and maybe this is something to think about for this weekend. Imagine you were that priest that was called back. What would you do? How would you start kind of talking to the people about Yahweh? How would you do it in a way that might make sense to them or help them get out of their false ideas about how worshiping God or the gods worked? Just put yourself in there and come up. What would you do? How would you do it? And then ask God, are there ways that you're calling me to do and be the same thing here in Canada in 2021? May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you. May the Lord be gracious to you. And today, may you know his peace. God bless.